Hello teachers, today I'd like to show you directions for proctoring a spring MAP session. You're going to start by going to the Camden Station homepage. Here on the Camden Station homepage, we have a tab under the teachers called MAP Test Administration. That's how you will get to the website to log in. Once you click here, you will use our login. Our login username is Camden Proctor, and our password is Camden123, and Camden is capitalized. And then you'll click log on. Once logged in, you will find a tab over here on the left called Manage Test Sessions. When you click here, you will need to be sure you click this show button. That's very important because it helps you to find the testing sessions that Ms. Corson has already created. When you click show, you will be able to scroll down and find the testing session name. Now, if you look at the directions, your test session name will always be the teacher's first initial and your full last name, along with the content area and spring 17. So let's say my name is Ms. Heflin. She will put in K Heflin, and then if she's testing in reading, she'll put the word reading, spring 17. But for my purposes today, I'm going to show you a test session that we have. I do not want to get into any of your sessions and sign in as your students. So I'm going to type in test session Camden, and it's important that I click here and delete this and click all proctors, so it will show me my testing session. It should then pop up the session you typed in. It's important to make sure that you've clicked on it, and then you're going to click Test Now. After you click Test Now, this will give you your actual session name that your students should type in. So then on the board, you could write that the test session name is Test Session Camden, and then their password. So for my session, it's 6160. The students will be prompted to type this in on the iPad once they click on that NWEA MAP app. Once here, now that you're in, you should start to see your students popping up. When they log in on the actual app, it's going to ask them to do a few things. It will first ask for that username and password. Then it will say to find their name. They will need to touch the box and it'll come with a drop down. They will then find their name and then click next. The next screen that pops up will be a screen to verify that it is the correct student. It's important that the student looks over it to make sure it's their name, the correct testing session, and the correct spring 17. Then they can click yes. Then it will prompt them to wait for you. You will notice here that under the status, your different students' names will change to waiting. Then when all students are in, you will be able to select a status here. It's easy to go ahead and say all when all of your students are in, and then you'll be able to, here under select action, go ahead and click that confirm button. That will allow them to go ahead and begin their MAP testing session. I'm going to unclick that so we don't have that. A few other options, so I want to unclick those, there we go. A few other options you may need to know. After you confirm your students, a few situations may happen. First, a student might ask to take a break, or they may need to use the restroom. At that time, it's important that they raise their hand, they wait for you to pause the test. So what you'll need to do, let's say that Samuel Barton needed to use the restroom. I click on his name, so I've selected only Samuel Barton, and then I can come here and I can pause his test. On his screen, it will then tell him his test has been paused. He can say okay. This will ensure that it stops on the exact question that the student was on, and then when they return, it will give them a new question so that they can't have any think time to answer that question. When that child returns, I can simply click on their name again. It will say paused here, and I can resume their test. Click that resume button. It will then prompt the student on their screen to go ahead and continue on the same number question that they were on. It will, however, give them a new question. Another option. If for any reason you feel the student is not taking their time and needs to be retested, you can also click on their name and you can click restart or retest. So here, you can click that test again button. That will force them to take that MAP test again. Again, use your best judgment on that. And one last thing you may need to use. Sometimes a student freezes, or you might need to just suspend them so that because you ran out of time. If that happened, you could click the student's name, and here, or also multiple students didn't finish, I could click 3 students. And I could then click that suspend button. That will stop their test on the question that they're at so that they can either test again at another time, or if in case it freezes, sometimes you have to do that and also test them again. But it will pick them back up on that same question. And you will click that before ending that test session. After you have all students that are finished, or if students did not finish and you have suspended them, after you suspended them, you can click that end testing session. One last detail that's really important is if you have a student that is absent, or if they did not finish and either Ms. Corson, myself, or Mr. Cloud need to come pull that student to finish, that it's important that you document that on our make up chart. This will also be attached to the email with the video. As you can see here, I have 2 examples of what this might look like. Here, the first example is an example of a student that has not finished. So if you will put the first and last name of the child so we know who to pull, your last name so we know which class, which content area, reading, math, or language, and then also tell us the action. Is it that the student did not finish and they might need just additional time, or are they completely absent and do they need to take the entire test? Since I'm sharing this document with you, once you type it in, that will save it automatically, and then when there is open time, Ms. Corson, Mr. Cloud, or I will find some time to pull that student to finish their test or to go ahead and take the entire thing if they were absent. Please let me know if you would like for me to walk through this with you before your testing session. Remember, if you have trouble during your session that you are proctoring alone, please see the actual schedule to see whether Ms. Corson is scheduled to support you during your time, Mr. Cloud is scheduled to support you, or if I'm scheduled to support you. Thank you.